Right, okay, this is the second part of the eye video, but again, let's not waste this. Have you noticed the arrows are going to the thing that's eating it? So the energy transfer or the flow is that way. So name the producer. The producer is the one that makes its own food. In this case, it's going to be the thistle. Right, they've asked for the secondary, the second one, the second consumer, somebody that uses or eats or consumes something. Yeah, this here is the primary consumer. This here is the secondary consumer, and this here is the tertiary consumer. So the secondary consumer is the song thrush. Right, I don't know how many times I've done this question, but I always struggle because I don't know what they're pointing to. I think they're pointing to the pupil there, and I don't know whether that's the cornea or the iris. It's difficult to tell for me from here, so right. On the mark scheme they said iris, cornea, so it is difficult, cornea, to differentiate what they were pointing to exactly. So I think that's why they've done that. So the first one is iris or the cornea, and this is the pupil. Pupil is just a gap that the iris leaves. Right, describe the table. Describe other parts of an eye. Of the eye. Complete the table by naming each part that is described. The tough protective outer layer. That is the sclera. Sclera. The nerve from the eye to the brain is the optic nerve. Put the full word in. Don't just put optic. Focuses light onto the retina. That'll be the lens. Okay, let's move on. An eye can respond to light intensity. The diagram shows how pupil sizes change in different levels of light. So in bright light, what happens is, can you see this gap? This is that black bit in the middle of your eye. It's called the pupil. This is the colored bit. You see the brown, hazel, brown, hazel, blue. This is called the iris. So in a bright room, you don't need the hole to be big, the pupil to be big. So the iris constricts, the pupil constricts, gets smaller, and it dilates in here because you need lots of light. So you need a bigger hole for the light to get through. Use a ruler to measure the change in pupil diameter. Right, okay, we can ignore that one. Where in the eye are cells that detect the change in the stimulus to cause this response? Right. So the retina is at the back of your eye. Right, so you've got the eye. That's the optic nerve. You have the outer layer called the sclera. Then you have an inner layer, choroid. This absorbs all the light, stops it bouncing about and forming lots of images. And then on top of that, you have the retina. yeah, you've got on this side as well. So this here is the retina. That is the retina. It's got the cells that detect the light coming in the image. This little semicircle, or this area, is called the fovea. It contains rods and cones. The cones detect color. The rods are for sharpness and can only see in black and white. So it's really good for night. Cones are no good at night because there's no light, so it's just black and white images. Right. So where in the eyes are the cells that detect the stimulus? It's in the retina. Explain the changes that take place when a in the pupil as a person moves from bright to dark. So you're going from bright to dark. So when you go to dark, you need more room, a bigger pupil. So we need to work out what happens there. So the circular muscles relax and the radial muscles contract. What happens then? The pupil gets bigger, but we don't use that word, we use the word dilates. And then just finish it off saying allowing in more light into the eye. So remember, you're going from bright to dark and you want a bigger pupil, so you want it to dilate. So what happens? The circular muscles relax, the radial muscles contract. That makes the pupil dilate, allowing more light into the eye. Okay. Just 1 second. Right. Have you noticed that there's a line going through this thing, and it's going through, and there's your little fovea, and it goes in and it goes into the optic nerve. So the A part is the retina, and all those signals that are detected, all the light stimulus that's detected, it goes down and they all bundle together to form the optic nerve. And what happens to the optic nerve? It heads off to the brain to be processed, so your brain can make sense of it. It detects the light and converts it into impulses. This sends the impulses to the brain, and that's what that does. Right, there's your human eye. Explain how part X is what? Okay, that there is the iris. The gap, the black bit in your eye, is the pupil. That there on the outside, this structure on the outside, is the conjunctiva. That there is the ciliary muscle, and that's the ciliary body. So ciliary muscle. Right, that's the iris, that's the lens, that there, this bit on the inside, should have done it red really, that is the retina. I'm going through all this so it's revision for you. Sclera, sclera, I can never spell that. And then there's this bit, this black bit here, do you know, in between there, can you see that? That there is the choroid. You've got conjunctiva, lens, iris, pupil, and then okay, this bit here is the cornea. It allows light through. How does X prevent damage to the retina in very bright light? So what happens is the circular muscles, we want it smaller, yeah? Muscles. The circular muscles contract, and at the same time the radial muscles relax, and the pupil gets smaller, but you want to use the word constricts. Constricts. There you go. Right, part Y. That there is the optic nerve. Right, so if the optic nerve gets damaged, impulses or signals, impulses cannot be sent to the brain. You can't send signals to the brain, or it'll send a poor signal.